can lead to thinky thought, but it's definitely, yeah, that was a weird way to say it. Whenever it came out, I was like, hopefully Mary Kate doesn't make this a big deal. Nope, not happening. No grace. So,
I wasn't gonna make fun of you for it.
Oh, it's okay. I can do that myself. Hey, I'm Devin.
And I'm Mary Kate.
And we're picking up pieces.
A channel all about board game pieces.
And how to pick them up. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the games we played in February. I know it's the middle of March, but we're still only going to be talking about the games we played for the whole month of February.
Yeah. And I know a lot of creators might do this every month and do like a monthly recap. We are not going to do this video every month because we only put out one video a week, and that would just be too many videos of monthly recaps. We will probably do this kind of periodically, just when we feel like it.
Yeah, and we haven't decided yet, like, if the next time we do it, if it's going to be like the whole period in between the two videos, or if it's just going to be like the month prior. But whatever happens, happens. We just don't want to be like, every single month we're putting out a video, and that's 25% of our videos.
Yeah.
So... But in saying that, the games that we played this past month, I think there was 20 different games we played.
Yeah.
But we played a lot of those games multiple different times. So I didn't count up how many times total we played all these games. But I think the game we played the most of was actually Decorum. And so Decorum was, it was so easy to play a lot of because it's so easy to get one game out of the way and then on with the next one, and you just keep playing the same game but different scenarios over and over and over again.
Yeah, and then you don't have as much setup. It's already all out, and it's a pretty fun one.
Yeah, Decorum is super fun. Like whenever we first played it, the first scenario really easy. Like it's no sweat at all. And me and May Kate played it and like, oh no. This isn't good. This is too easy. But as you play it more, it gets increasingly harder. And then also, if you get more play accounts. I don't know the recommended play account for this game, but we played it with a couple friends of ours from church. And they were really into it.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
In case you're not familiar with Decorum, it's a game of like passive-aggressive cohabitation. It's like its tagline.
Yeah.
And so everyone has like a set of conditions, and you're trying to decorate this house. And everyone's conditions have to be met in order to win the scenario. But you can't give feedback other than, I like it. Or other positive remarks, or, oh my gosh, why would you do that? That is a terrible decision. I don't want the yellow lamp in the living room.
And you have to have the right group to play it with. Like, you have to have friends who definitely are going to go over the top in their reactions. If that makes you uncomfortable, the thought of that makes you uncomfortable, this probably isn't the game for you. But if that sounds fun, you'll definitely like this game.
It was a blast.
Yeah, yeah, they really got into it. So that was Decorum. The next game we played was Village Rails, and I am falling in love with this game. So this game is like very much so fitting like a particular niche way. It's not a heavy game. It's like a medium game that can be played relatively quickly if you're only playing with two people, and me and Kate, that's the only way we've played it so far. So it's a really crunchy game with very simple rule sets that I really like. I like it a lot.
We've played this game a lot. Recently.
And it comes in like the cutest box ever. Like it's right here. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you pull it out.
It's such a cute tiny box.
And the tagline, best tagline ever. It's a game of locomotives and locomotives. I love it. I mean, you guys gotta play it. I definitely recommend it. It's only like $20 too, so it's not expensive. At least on like Game Nerds or like Card Horse or some of those websites that sell it for relatively cheap.
Yeah.
So definitely it fits a very particular niche, and at the same time you get so much like brain thinkiness in a short time period after you get to know the rules.
It's a lot of bang for your buck, that game.
Yeah, for sure. So that's Village Rails. The next game was Dulce.
And this game was, we only played it like once or twice.
Yeah, we only played it like twice.
It was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, so going from Village Rails to Dulce was definitely disappointing. I think the game looks really good.
It's very pretty.
Oh, that's why we have it right there. It's not because we recommend it. It's just because it looks awesome.
Well, it's not that we we like recommend against it. It's just that it, I don't know, it wasn't exactly what we were expecting when we got it.
I've heard other people give reviews of it because I was excited for the game, and how people talk about, oh, the different colors are too close to each other. That actually just a little bit so close that you're not always off, but whenever you are off, you don't know what resources you're trying to get. I'm like, that's not going to be a problem at all. Like, I
can look at the colors outside the box, you're like, I can tell the difference between these.
And it is bothersome. Like, it does hinder the gameplay. And I don't think anytime you're designing or doing artwork of a game that you want to make it as clear as possible so you don't have to think about that. Because even if it's just a few seconds of like, oh, is it that or is it that piece? It really hinders the gameplay and the enjoyment of that game.
The next game on our list is My City. We actually completed our campaign of My City.
And so My City, as we mentioned in the Board Games to Ruin Your Valentine's Day video, that game definitely can get me and Mary Kate heated, especially Mary Kate.
Well, it's just that it has a runaway leader problem. And so then it's hard to look at your game as like one game, because then you look at your little line across the top of your board of how many points you have, and you go, well, I might have won this game, but I've already lost so many, it doesn't even matter. So,
and to be fair for My City, it does have catch-up mechanisms in place. And then also, I think that's just an inherent thing with legacy games. So it's not really calling out My City. It's just, that's really Mary Kate's experience with legacy games. We don't have many, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
And so, especially a competitive legacy game, right?
Yeah.
And so, My City, definitely recommend it. Yeah. It might be one of the first games we call just because we played it, we finished it, and so we won't play it again probably. I mean, since we finished up the whole campaign or that whole legacy game. So, definitely, My City, really fun. Next game we have is The Search for Planet X.
This is probably the first game that we've had that's a lot more of a logic puzzle to solve. I really enjoy it. I think it's fun. I know Devin loves it because you like Sudoku and kind of logic puzzles.
And it feels just like Sudoku. Like, it's very different than Sudoku.
Oh, yeah.
You're not building in a grid.
You have a whole board. You're trying to figure out where the planets are and stuff.
But the way you have to think about things and the way it makes your brain tick, it really does feel that way. And I think this game is a really competitive game between me and Mary Kate. Like, me and her, any game, one of us could win it for sure. And Mary Kate might actually even have a leg up on me on The Search for Planet X. I think the last game we played, Mary Kate destroyed me.
It's hard to tell where. It's kind of fun because, like, a lot of deduction games, you might feel like, oh, this person is, like, getting way ahead of me. Search for Planet X, you really have no idea how far your opponent is or how close they are to figuring out where Planet X is, which kind of makes it pretty interesting because you're like, why are they asking that question? Are they super close to finding the answer? But yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, and so that was Search for Planet X. The next game we played was In the Year of the Dragon by Stefan Feld. And that game definitely is an old year. Like, it is not a pretty box. You look at it, it's like, man, they need to do some upkeep on this mug. It is not looking good. But it is pretty fun. I think that Kate actually enjoyed it more than me.
I didn't enjoy that game. It was pretty nice.
And so the game, it really is just about managing your palace and then managing, like, the people in it and then managing the negative effects. And trying to do the best possible way in order to not lose as much as possible. Yeah. And trying to prepare for the events coming up in the next few turns because you get to know them all from the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And so it's very, I would say, relatively simple. Like, it can lead to thinky thought, but it's definitely, that was a weird way to say that. Whenever it came out, I was like, hopefully Mary Kate doesn't make this a big deal. No, not happening. No grace. So,
I wasn't going to make fun of you for it.
Oh, it's okay. I can do that myself.
Thinky thought made me snicker a little bit.
So, that was In the Year of the Dragon.
We also played Lost Ruins of Arnok. We love this game.
Like, that's the only game we own that's a worker placement with that deck builder, like, combination. And we're actually going to be playing Doom Imperium this upcoming weekend. We have a friend who owns it. And so I'm really excited to see how the two compare with each other. Because I played Lost Ruins of Arnok a ton. And I really enjoy Lost Ruins of Arnok. Personally, Lost Ruins of Arnak thematically appeals to me more, and that's one of the reasons why we got that game over Dune Imperium.
Yeah.
Because I personally am not as big of a space theme fan as other people are, and I mean, other people love space theme. I like it too.
Space theme can be
a reason
you don't want to play a game.
It can be, and also it can be a game that I can still enjoy. And so, anyway, saying all that, definitely recommend Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yep.
Really fun game. And so, I believe the next game we played was
Castles of Burgundy.
You guys probably are starting to know I really like Castles of Burgundy.
And we played quite a few games on BGA.
Yeah, because we don't own it.
Yeah. Games just the two of us, games with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like Castles of Burgundy.
It's so easy to play, at least, especially on BGA, where it's just like you set up a game and then boom, you can just like, you're ultimately just doing a couple actions, picking a dice and then grabbing a tile and placing it in your duchy. And so you're getting points to doing that. And the way it can combo, and it's just like, oh, I get this points to... Again, it's not like really like a roll and write combo where you just boom, do this, then you do this, then you do this. But it's like combo in the sense of like points. At least that's the way I describe it. And so like, because I put this like this sheep, and I have 10 other sheep in this thing, and obviously that's an exaggeration, but I put that into this little field in my duchy, and I fill in the whole zone, and I get a whole bunch of points that way.
Yeah.
And so, really love it. I like it so much.
I enjoy this game. I'm not that competitive at it at the moment. But I like the game enough that I still like to play it.
I wiped the floor with me and Kate.
Yeah. I've gotten so much better, but the problem is he's also gotten better, so we just... Yeah. It's so fun. Definitely recommend it, guys. Game. And so another game that we don't own that we played this month, February was 5 Minute Dungeons, and we've played this only a couple times, and we've always played it with the same people, Jesse and April. Yeah. And the 5 Minute Dungeon, it's just a filler game, super simple, or it'd be a great game if you have kids to play with, where you're just constantly, it's a real-time game where you're just trying to put out as many cards as possible in order to beat these monsters that have different card requirements. And then everybody has like kind of like asymmetrical powers. So it's a great entryway to asymmetrical powers. Yeah. And so I wouldn't necessarily, like, your kid would have to be a little bit older, because anytime there's asymmetrical powers in a game, it's never necessarily, I would put, in an intro game. Because you have to teach everybody their own unique powers. But once you have somebody that knows, like, relatively new to the hobby and relatively new into knowing board games, they can play that. It's super easy. Yeah. We also played Carcassonne.
What April loves, and so we busted that out.
The same night we played 5 Minute Dungeon, Carcassonne.
We played Decorum, and then we also played Unmatched, which we played on teams. And so me and April were on a team. I was, who was I? I have it written down. I was Yanenga, she was Bigfoot. May Kate was
Electra.
Yeah, and Jesse was
the genie.
Probably should just have that off the top of the head. But anyway, me and April killed it. We destroyed all of them.
It was closer than that.
In my mind, whenever I remember winning, I just remember destroying everybody I go against. I don't necessarily remember it being close at all. I'm
pretty sure we got it down to like 1v1 at the end.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Probably. That might have been the case. I don't know. But Unmatched, super fun game. It's pretty much Mortal Kombat, the board game. Even though, obviously, that's not an IP they own. So, it's just a battle to the death. You pick whatever fighter you have, select your fighter, select your map, and then fight it out to the death. Really fun game. So, the next game we got is... Arboretum, a super thinky game. Like, I was talking about Village Rails. I mean, Arboretum's like that 10 times. Like, it's way more thinky and way more stress than Village Rails.
It is a lot of stress sometimes.
Because
it's both chill and stressful at the same time.
Yeah, because you're just drawing a card, and then you have to play a card and discard a card, right? And so, well, you draw 2 cards, right? Yeah, draw 2 cards, and then you have to play a card and discard a card. And anytime you discard a card, your enemy can draw the card that you just put down. Yeah. And so you're not trying to help them, while at the same time trying to do the best to manage the cards in front of you and manage the cards in your hand. I
love a good hand management game.
Yeah,
and Arboretum does that really well.
Yeah, because it matters what's in your hand
at the end of the game, because it determines what colors you can actually score, and you can, by what you keep in your hand, you can prevent other people from scoring. But sometimes you want to get rid of those cards. You can try to get more cards that get you points.
Yeah.
So it's this whole kind of like weighing what is going to net you the most points at the end of the game.
For sure. And so that's Arboretum. And then
the next game is
Brass Birmingham.
Yep.
Which I would say is now our most complicated game we own. Maybe. I think people, the heaviest.
Yeah.
I think people would argue that Food Chain Magnet is heavier, but Brass Birmingham feels heavier to me. I don't know. Food Chain Magnet just kind of came more naturally to me.
Yeah. Food Chain Magnet is longer.
Yes.
But Brass Birmingham feels more weighty.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because it's a lot of interactions. And we bought that game. We just got lucky. We went to a local game store, so definitely shout out to them. That sadly closing down. And so we found that game, and I mean, you can't find it right now. Really, it's not that available. And so we got really lucky, and we played it, and we did that video.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, and we did the video on our thoughts on Brass Birmingham, and we really like it a lot. It was definitely a game we played early on and on the hobby, which we should not have.
Yeah.
It was way too complicated. It
was stressful.
So over our head. Yeah, Brass Birmingham. And then Takenoko.
Yeah. I have been looking for Takenoko out in our local board game stores and stuff, because honestly, I wanted it because the panda is very cute.
Yes. May-Kate has won in this game for over a year probably, and we just for some reason never got it.
Yeah, and then I couldn't find it anywhere, and I was like, no, I'm never gonna be able to buy it.
Yeah.
And then we found it at
Half Price Books.
Yeah, at Half Price Books. So and I was like, oh, perfect. It's discounted and it's the game I wanted. Yeah,
and it is a really nice like intro level, like, you know, that beginning
kind of
level,
that light
game.
medium game.
Yeah. And I mean, I was like, man, this game is really fun. You're just, can you describe the game? You probably describe better than me.
So thematically, you have this panda and you're trying to take care of it and feed it. And so on your turn, you have these objective cards you're trying to meet, and you can put down bamboo. I forgot the word for bamboo. Different colored bamboo by moving the gardener. You can water it so the bamboo grows higher. You can feed the bamboo to the panda. All in all, you're trying to meet these objective cards that you have in your hand in order to get victory points. And once someone gets, I want to say 7.
I don't remember.
There's a certain number
of objectives. We only
of
played
objectives.
it like once. So
once someone meets the particular number of objectives, there's one more round, and then the game's over, and then whoever has the most points wins.
Yeah. So that was all the games we played together. And the rest of the games is either games that I played by myself or on BGA, or May-Kate did likewise.
Yeah.
So there was 5 games that I played total by myself or with other people. I played Final Goal, Arc Nova, Radlands, Village Wells, and Kabuto Sumo. So with Final Girl, I'm still trying to get into the world of solo gaming. Like, I remember I played Search for Planet X, and I mentioned that it didn't go super well, and I'm not on Search for Planet X at all. Because it's just me. Whenever I'm playing a board game, a lot of times I really love the communal aspect that comes with board game. Whenever you get in and play against other people, even if it's just a multiplayer solitaire game, like, you're still there, you're still communicating with other people, interacting with them, and where solo gaming doesn't provide that for you. But I still want to get into that world. Like, I still want, because I enjoy board games, I enjoy the puzzle that a board game gives you. And Final Goal and Search for Planet X, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, or as much as I wanted to. But I still want to try them more, and also I want to know what what's a good entryway for solo gaming, if you guys have any. And so I would say that's really my thoughts on Final Girl, because I really only played it one time, and I didn't have a great time playing it. But I think that's just me. That's just who I am, you know? And so that was that. And then I have Arc Nova, which I introduced it to Joseph, and he loved it. And it's one of the more complicated games we own, but it's one of the more complicated games we own, but it makes it easier to teach because you only do 5 actions. And whenever you're doing these 5 actions, it simplifies the game so much, because ultimately there's more actions to do, but all of them are just kind of like slotted underneath these 5 actions. And these actions you can move up, and they are stronger. Whenever you use them, they go down and then weaker. And so it keeps cycling through, and it makes it really like fun and very much so more. What's the word? What do you want to? Strategic. I don't know. It's just something where you're feeling satisfied after doing it. So that's Ark Nova. Do you have any thoughts on Ark Nova? Because we've played it plenty of times.
Yeah. We haven't played it together in a little bit.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. We've just been busy, and it's a lot to get to the table.
Yeah, it's definitely a long game. Like, the long game we played this month was Brass Birmingham. And ultimately, we want to play more longer games. Like, I love more complicated games. But Ark Nova, every single time I play it, I'm reminded how much I like it. So that was Ark Nova. Radlands, I'm still kind of, like, undefeated. I'm pretty great at it. And so
I want to disagree with you, but I can't.
Yeah. It's a game where it is so thematic. Like, whenever you're playing Radlands, it's based off of a post-apocalyptic world where water is very scarce. And so this game, water is your income, your resources, and you have so little of it. And so you're trying to do everything you want to do with such a little thing, with a little bit of amount. And it's such an easy game to get to the table to play because it's a card game, and it's unique because it's a lane battle. I don't think there's many lane battlers out there. And so it's a two-play game. It's head-to-head. If you do not like competitive head-to-head gameplay, you would not like Radlands. But if you like that, if you like the feeling that you can't do everything you want to do, then Radlands scratches that itch big time. And I do enjoy it. I cannot think of, there are other games that are just as not complicated, as thematic as Radlands, but I can't think of a game that's more thematic than Radlands that makes me feel like, oh yeah, I am doing what it's wanting me to do, or what the theme of this world is. So definitely recommend Radlands. And then also I know I'm going out of order of the first 5 I did, but Kabuto Sumo, dexterity game. Why don't you talk about Kabuto Sumo for me?
Okay, so Kabuto Sumo, it's like you have all these little wooden discs, which are little bugs, and you have them on a tree trunk kind of stand. And on your turn, you get to push one into the center, and your goal is to get the other player's kind of specific token pushed off the board. But then any pieces that you knock off then become your pieces that you can put back on the board at a later time. So you get larger pieces that you can push on the board to affect things in a different way. And then there's a bit of asymmetry with the different characters you can play that have different abilities. Yeah. So it's kind of a fun dexterity game.
It's the only dexterity game we own. And it's also an easy dexterity game to get into. I think most of the time, dexterity games are on the lighter side, and they're really fun. So somebody can be like, oh yeah, that seems fun, I can do that. It's a lot like that arcade game where you have the coins. You put in a coin, and then it's kind of where it has a machine that pushes coins to the front, and then they drop, and you can pick up those coins. I have no idea what that name of that game is. Does anyone know what that name of the game is? No. But you know what I'm talking about. And that's Kabuto Sumo, just in a competitive sense. so if you want an intro dexterity game, definitely Kabuto Sumo is a good place to start. Yeah. So that's Kabuto Sumo. What was the other ones I did? Oh, Village Rails. We've already talked about that, so I'm not going to talk more about it. And then also... Did I already talk about all of them?
Yeah, you did.
You're welcome. Alright, so make it what games you played.
Yeah, I didn't play as many without you. I've just been a little bit more busy recently. But I did play some games on BGA. Played Sea Salt Paper with some people. It's a fun kind of set collection game. It's kind of interesting because when you get the amount of points, you can either choose to end the round immediately.
That is interesting.
And then you win that round. But you're kind of gambling because when you get the base threshold of points, you can also choose to have it go around one more time. Or you can choose to just completely just like keep playing the game. So if you get to the threshold of 7 points, you can say, I'm going to end it. But you don't know if the other person's actually already gotten more than 7 points and they just kept passing. Yeah. And so it kind of has that push your luck kind of element where it's like, should I call it now or should I wait?
And you've only played this game on BGA. Yeah. How do you think it is on BGA, like, adapted? I know you don't know the physical copy, but do you think it's actually fun on BGA?
Yeah, I think it's adapted pretty well. I think it'd be more fun in person, but we don't have that game yet. Yeah. So.
So that was
Yeah.
Sea Salt and Paper. What was the other one?
Also, I played Fairy Trails, which
Okay.
is a tile placement game where you're building little roads. And then, honestly, it's kind of similar to a tile placement game we've talked about before with Land versus Sea, where every time you put something down, it can either help or hurt your opponent. But instead of it just being kind of like a mass, you're trying to connect different trails together. And then, but you don't get points for how many tiles, you get points for how many little houses are on your completed trails. So it's just a little bit different in the point scoring wise. I enjoy kind of a light tile placement game, so it's fun.
Yeah, I haven't played either one of those, and this is the first time I've actually learned how either one of them kind of worked. So, so definitely. But I think that's all the games we've played.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, guys. But more importantly, we just want to let you know that we value all of you. And if we had the chance, we'd love to play board games with every single one of you. So until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.